Yes.
Hi, Mary.
All right, dude. We are. What's crack a lacking, guys? So here we go. I don't have any crazy intro today. It was kind of like spur of the moment, and we said we need to do a podcast on this. And congratulations to everybody who helped contribute this. Before we get really into this and introduce, bring Joe in. Actually, I'm gonna bring Joe right in right here. Sorry, Joe. I didn't mean to bring you. I didn't mean to.
That's okay, man.
How come you're not here?
I got a face for radio anyway.
Hold on. Let me put. Why did I do that? So, Joe, how you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm doing well. How's your day going?
Good. Going good. We got so lots of stuff to talk about. We got MTE coming. Joe, I heard you might come.
Where'd you hear that from?
As a cardboard poster, dude. So cardboard
That's
cutout.
just sad, isn't it? That's
One day, Joe, I'm gonna have to friggin', drag you over there.
One of these days I'll go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, we got a special guest, Keith, and might as well bring him in. How you doing, Keith?
Hey, I'm doing great. All of a sudden, I'm feeling a little self-conscious. I don't have a hat or glasses, so I'm not quite fitting the motif, but I'm here anyways.
Well, hey.
I need them both.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I just updated my glasses, dude. I just updated my glasses. So, yeah.
It's just the standard dent guy garb,
So when is Keith, are you going to be on MTE?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. You having a booth at all?
Yeah, I've got 2 booths, one for Black Plague and one for my new company, Claim Connection.
Cool. Good deal. Yeah, we're going to talk about that Claim Connection too, as well. So, I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be flying at the end of my training. At the end of these 2 weeks, I'm going to fly on a Saturday over to Anson, and then I'm going to take a Anson road trip with them to Orlando and do the whole kind of tour food truck thing. We're going to just go eat a bunch of stuff. First of all, before we get into this Rivian thing, there's a couple people or a few things that kind of like put things in place for this repair that we're going to be talking about, which is the Rivian. So we get right into it. I don't really bullcrap too much, me and Joe, between the podcast. So first of all, this probably nobody saw this coming, but I'd like to say thanks to Matt Boyette, because his repair actually has caused a wave of Rivian people repairs. That got really popular, and it did us all a favor, regardless if you took advantage of the favor or not. Meaning, like if you use a price guide, if you play it by the rules, and you believe in the value of your service, I think you can get what you deserve, as far as as the quality that you can put out as a PDR tech. So I want to say thank you to that. Keith, I want to say thank you very much to you and Tammy, because this is part of the podcast. Joe and I, we've actually put a lot of work into doing what we wanted to do for this. I want to thank you and Shane too, as well, because you guys talked about this numerous times on your podcast about insurance journey, charging for what you're worth, all that stuff. Paul Corden, I want to say thank you to him. I'm probably leaving out a few people, but those are the people that actually influenced, all us to change the way we think and the way we believe in ourselves, more importantly, because we probably know it's probably about 80-90% mind, right? I mean, if you believe it, generally your clients will, everyone else will. But if you don't, I don't think you're going to have a hard time. I think you're going to have a really hard time doing that. So
completely agree.
Thanks, Keith. And we'll get into why later on with the estimating part. So
yeah, for sure. I wanted to touch on one thing you said about Matt. I agree with you completely. That repair kind of shifted, at least the Rivian scene. We've seen ugly repairs by a lot of talented guys, but Matt did that one. But the thing is, he didn't just do it. He documented it and he put it out there for all of us to get a hold of. It went viral, actual viral, and went everywhere to the non-dent sites because it was impressive, but the production was really good too. It was a great repair and a great story. So, that is extra work. Myke, you do a lot of it. Joe, you do a lot of it. There's a lot of people that do a lot of it. Unfortunately, I haven't been one of them. I don't feel like video is my my sweet spot. I could record, I could do a podcast, but video is not my sweet spot because it's really hard work and it's a lot of extra hours after the repair. But look at the dividends that it paid for Matt and for the whole industry. So shout out to all you guys who spend 12 hours at home looking at the screen after the 30-hour repair, making it a piece of a story that can be consumed by people all over the world.
Yeah. Well, we're taking our time to kind of like create, just a story for it. I'm doing it, put on Dent Trainer. Kind of, it's just, dude, there was like 368 video clips, 600 and something social, like basically just clips, photos, and whatever else we were doing. I didn't really leave a rock unturned when we were shooting this, right? I got the opportunity. Joe was pretty much doing most of the repair. I was doing most of the shooting. We wanted to document it. We also documented shooting underneath the vehicle after it was done, so nobody would question that there was, any holes drilled. What we thought that there was going to be some, access points. There weren't any access points, and so that was mainly what it did. And if you guys are kind of wondering what we're talking about here, I'm talking about this repair here, and we can see that that's completely mushed, right? It's actually spaced out. This isn't without. And anyways, we'll give you another kind of more closer look at what we're talking about as well, right? Crunched. Also, look at the body line that goes on the bottom across is completely gone. It's just gone. And then you got that hard pinched crown right there on the edge too.
And Myke, I think people are focused. They're focused on the dent so much they forget to look up and see that that's the sport utility, not the truck. It's much harder to access that one.
Yeah. Well,
True.
Scotto says too as well. Let me see here. He says, "Hey guys, thanks for Matt Moore's also spent some time in the Rivian manufacturing plant. It's educating them on PDR repair method." Yeah, cool. I'm sorry. I didn't know Matt was doing that. So apologize. I was unaware of that. So
Right on.
any of you guys, were you guys aware of that?
Kiko too. Kiko
Okay,
spent a lot of time and money educating their internal people for glue pulling at the factory.
And the reason why I say that is because the big jobs that are coming to me, right? The Rivians and even the smaller Rivians, right? They've all seem to have seen that video of Matt. They've all mentioned it somehow, some way. And then they see my videos and they go, okay, this guy can do what I'm looking for. So it kind of snowballed that way. But I do want to have a kind of like a story of like why or how I got these Rivians, and some of them, are far away. And the last two, ironically, were the same exact model coming from the same exact city, Fresno. So, I had a white one earlier. Just want to like emphasize that people were wondering where the hell happened to the white one. I'm not going to get into super details, but I'm going to like kind of give you guys the story of like how ironic and how crazy this other one landed in my lap. So a white one comes in. This lady was very anxious to get it done. She actually went to Kent Clark to ask him if he can do it. He said, "I'm booked out for a month and a half. I can't do it. Get it done now." So she said, "Myke, can you get it done anytime soon?" I said, "Well, I could probably get you in this weekend, and probably if the insurance goes well, probably have it done by the following week." So she made the claim. She literally sent it the next day. It came to the shop, and we're talking
on a trailer, right?
Yeah, trailer, right? Brought it down. I look at it. I'm all, whoa, this is a lot worse than what I saw in the photos. Right. Yeah. I FaceTime Joe. I'm all, Joe, look at this, dude. This thing. He's like, man, and we're both thinking, well, this is probably a power PDR box situation repair. I call Kobe. Kobe sends me pictures. He's like, yeah, this thing's a bitch to fix because you've got, you have to tear the whole thing out. It's pretty involving. Long story short, Sunday, I get a call from the lady. She's like, have you looked at it yet? How much is it going to be? And I said, and she goes, well, before you give me a number, I just want to let you know, you told me between 5,000 and 6,000. And I was like, look, I told you that And I told you specifically that is just a rough estimate. I don't know exactly until you see it. So I'm letting you know that. I go, but if it's insurance, you're good. What do you mean by that? She was very hard to work with. And so I couldn't understand why she was upset. I said, well, let me look at it Monday and I'll give you an estimate back. So she calls me. No, I called her Monday. The insurance adjuster was supposed to come. He didn't come, right? He actually came 2 days later after this conversation. And she just, unfortunately, was not having it. I gave her an estimate of I said, look, I'm not done with my estimate. It's going to be between 10 and 15,000. Honestly, this is what it's going to be. I still don't know because I haven't taken it apart all the way. She flipped out. She was like, she was basically insinuating that I was taking advantage of the situation. She's called other people, and they said that they could do it cheaper, and she's willing to take it somewhere else. And so at that moment, I told her, come get your truck. I don't think this is the right fit for us. I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't believe in what I'm doing, and then second guesses me and makes me feel like I'm the criminal. So I told her to get her truck, and she did. And as far as the last thing I heard, she shipped it to Florida. So, but she wanted it done fast. So, but anyways, so that was crazy, right? 2 weeks, a month later, I get another Rivian, this one that we just did from Fresno. Same truck, same dent, but a little different, obviously, more crushed on the edge. Totally opposite client. Totally opposite client. He drives it here. He has a whole different aspect about what he believes this should be. He looks at it. He's all, Myke, what do you think? And I was like, dude, I can't get this. I can't touch this for under $5,000. I go, matter of fact, I basically told him straight out because I was having flashes of that lady, dude. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be probably in the 10 to 15 grand range. I'm not going to name his name here, but he goes, wow, damn, that much, huh? He's like, I was thinking about paying out of pocket. And I was like, what's your deductible? And he says, it's 500. I said, it's a no-brainer. It's a total no-brainer. But I go, listen, Scott, I want to be very transparent with you. I noticed that you have some slight paint damage here. And I may have to make some access points to get to this dent to fix it because I know this whole thing's blocked. So I just want to let you know, I tried everything in my power to make him to see if he would want to say no. Yeah. Right. And he was like, Myke, I don't care about that. I can live with that. I don't want to paint my whole truck. I don't want to paint the whole truck. Yeah. And I said, okay. All right. And I said, he goes, look, I'm going to go think about it. And I'll let you know. He leaves the shop. Within 30 minutes, he comes back. He's got the claim number. And he goes, I'm ready. Let's just do it. I went, can I drop it off now?
Yes.
Total different attitude, right? I said, okay, Scott, hold on. I got a few more questions, few more things to talk to you about before you drop it off. This is going to be a very intense repair. This isn't your typical normal insurance repair. In fact, your Rivian truck isn't in most insurance adjusters, like the labor hours all the time. I have to dig deep to find that. And he goes, okay. And I said, here's the deal. This could get awkward and challenging. What I'm trying to ask you is, are you willing to go to bat for me if the insurance adjusters drag their feet, or they're telling me to tell you to go somewhere else, or anything like that? Are you going to be on my side? Because this kind of repair, I would need a client to be all in. He goes, Myke, I got you. Don't worry about it. Whatever you need, you let me know. I was like, holy crap. Okay. All right. Got it in, had him sign the God dang it, Joe. What's the name of that thing?
The authorization to repair, direction to pay form.
Yeah. Sent it over to Doc, had it docu-signed, right? Sent it back to him. 5 minutes, bang, bang, bang. He had it all signed, right? We're talking an opposite client of the other one, dude.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Right.
So, and by the way, I did run into hiccups. Insurance companies wasn't answering me and all this stuff. I told Scott, I said, Scott, I told you I'm going to keep you in the loop. I think the best thing to do with these clients is that you have to keep them in the loop every single time. You talk to the insurance company and you made a call, you have to let Scott know or the person know. Okay. You have to let your client
huge.
know, because it lets them know that you're on top of your game. And then if you don't get an answer, they're pissed off because you're doing your job and they're not able to get their job done. So that really friggin'
Myke,
helps.
actually,
Yeah.
I talk about this a lot, like with my kids and at work. And the idea is that all of us in our lives make sense out of what we're seeing, what we're hearing with a story. Everything has a story, right?
Mhm.
And you drop your car off, you think something's happening at the shop. But the reason this is a talk is the trick is if you don't get the pieces of the story from someone else, you make up your own and you start making up whatever you think is appropriate and the reason why it's happening. So if you don't call your customer and tell them that you made a call, they've just got no call. The thing could be going beautifully, right? You talk to the insurance, you're making progress, the car's halfway done. But if they've had no calls, they start cooking up a story in their mind about what it is, and it's probably not positive. It's almost for sure negative. So the takeaway is that if you want the message that you're actually crafting to go out to the people the right way, you have to narrate the story for your customers and even for the people in your life. If you're thinking about your spouse, you're thinking about how great they are, but you don't ever say anything about it. Same thing. Like it's real, but you didn't convey the story. So they're going to cook up their own ideas about what's actually happening. So I try to remember that all the time. I feel like you can't bug a customer too many times. I want a customer to say, hey, stop texting me. I trust you. You're going to get it done. Stop calling me. That's what I want. I want to narrate that story exactly the way I want it to go.
Yep.
That's great advice, Keith. Myke, I remember you telling me through this endeavor, and then a couple other where we had swing and miss, or other home runs, and you said it's like a tennis match, and you basically, especially when we were dealing with the adjuster, they hit the ball to you, they try to hit it so that you can't hit it, but you hit it back. And they hit it back, and you hit it back, and you just keep hitting it back, and you make sure you hit the target. And they can't argue at some point.
No, I honestly think that if you're going to have some kind of, big repair, you need to have a client that's really, really strong with you and understands the circumstances and the prep work. I think these videos are getting more influential about it. Maybe somebody will watch, a Rivian person will watch this right here. I'm pretty sure that there will be, but I think you definitely have to have the right client for everything to match up.
Myke, your white one, let's dig into that for a second, because I think it's a really important lesson that we can all learn from it. I think, if you don't mind me saying, I think the way that one went wrong is putting a number on it before you really had the ability to put a number on it, just based on the photos. And we're doing our best. We're trying to please the customers. We have a lot of experience. We've seen a lot of things. It's not a crazy question to ask, so we're doing our best to give our best answer, but it's really a crappy answer until the car's in front of us. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. So I feel like the best way to make both parties happy is just to give a really big range, a big one. And say, it could be as low as this, but it could be as high as this. It could be 2,000, but it could be 20,000. And I know that's a crazy range. I wouldn't be happy with that range either. That's why I need to see it in person. But that's the only number I could tell you that isn't lying on one end or the other. It's not it's a genuine range where it's going to fall. But until I get it torn apart and see what's behind it, I can't really give you a good number. But we're so in the practice of our small dents over the years. Those aren't that complicated, right? You can look at a 4-inch dent and you can get a pretty good number on it with a photo. All of us do it all the time. Myke, you've been doing it before. I even thought it was a good idea. But these smashes are different, especially if they're going to be a claim. And if you're thinking you want to go that route, you have to kind of shift how you think about the customer interaction from the first phone call. You have to be on that path.
I 100% I agree. I mean, I think that me and Joe were talking about earlier, is that we have to understand the communication, like understanding. You have like a window of time to make sense to the client why they should make a claim, and then being able to say, I don't know how much it's going to cost yet. Right.
Right.
That's the hard part, right? The hard part is like, it sounds awkward. Why can't I give them, it doesn't sound right that I'm not going to be able to give them a price. Right.
Right.
So you want to try to give them a price without feeling awkward, without feeling shysty. You know what I mean? Like all that. And I think that's something I have to work on. I think all of us have to work on. Joe, me, you, Keith. I mean, nobody has a perfect formula. Maybe Paul has something better down to that aspect, which I'm sure he does. But the other part is getting comfortable saying that, right? Or conveying that. That's the hard part, is being comfortable in your own skin and learning how to, and then believing it, right?
It is.
That is the truth. It just have to make sense.
I've talked to Paul Joe. I've talked to Paul quite a bit about it. And I've analyzed what I do. And then when I make mistakes, I really try to play it back and say, okay, where did this go south? What did I do wrong? And I think really the key is system that you do every time. That's the key to eliminating these mistakes. Just like, this is exactly how I do my estimates. And that was one of my takeaways from Paul. He may change it as he's experimenting with new, styles, or maybe reordering, because he's always innovating on what he's doing, but there's still a system. And we always do this, then this, then this, then this. But it's a lot of unlearning for us. Us three, we probably have 60 years of dent repair, if not more, between us. That's a long time to unlearn habits. We're really kind of what we've done over the last 2 years, I think, in PDR is like bridge the gap between dent repair and conventional auto body repair as far as the capabilities go. But we haven't even come close to bridging the gap as far as the procedures and the front office goes. A million miles behind. Yeah. Because we're still the guy holding the tools, and we're trying to do the front office stuff, and we're just not good at it.
So what I was advised too from my friend who runs a very high-end body shop in San Diego, he said, Myke, first thing you do is take the car in. Once you get the claim down, you take the car apart. You take it apart, regardless of they owe you, they're in it for you on that. And so that kind of locks them in. You don't, Scott says he doesn't ever gives a number, right? He educates the claim process, gets it signed. See, and I know John Scotto here is actually, he's running his PDR shop now like a body shop. So,
he's very detailed.
Yeah, he's super
I'm willing to bet John's got a process for his estimates.
Well, his dad,
just by that statement right there.
His dad was in the collision business for a long time, right? And so I think it fits perfectly now that we're getting into paintless collision repair now. Obviously, I don't like that word as much as we've been trying to find different terms for it. But speaking of this, before I forget, too,
we haven't talked about T4 in a while.
No, yeah. Well, the thing is,
another show, a whole show at a time.
I used that with an adjuster already, Keith, and it helped.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean.
Well, I want to do a whole show on this topic because what up, Sean? Because I'm excited about that, but that'll eat up a couple hours by itself. But anyways, in 5 seconds, it's a new term to describe fixing dents that bigger than 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah.
It's not PDR anymore. It's T4. That's right. Tension-based, factory original restoration method.
Doug Hillius is in the house. What up, Dougie?
Doug's the sleeper shop up there.
So here's what I talked to Michael Glidewell. I sent a message to Eric Gars, and I think I've mentioned this to you already, Keith, right? And Joe knows about this. So, what would help in the insurance wise? I know not all of us have CC1, but PDR needs to be broken down in the line items, like not just one big fat chunk of it. Okay, it was $13,000, and here's the factors that go along with it. But if the factors aren't the line items themselves, meaning your body line was $235, lateral tension pole was $875, glue point was this, the body line fixing part was $475. That's what I would like to be itemized, shown, because doing a percentage,
I think it's a great idea.
Doing a percentage just doesn't. It's kind of like just throwing in everything, dude. You know what I mean? So
it's kind of sales 101, Myke. Like when we're doing, I was just hey, what up, Ren? Jason Ruben's the guy who got me into PDR, got me my big break. So shout out
Jason
to Jason.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
He was my roommate. We went to high school together.
Wow.
But I was just talking to one of my guys. Yeah.
Hey, Keith, just want to let you
About,
know that, hey, Keith, sorry
yeah.
to interrupt you, but you're really gurgling a lot, dude. So I'm not sure if you can get
Well,
a better connection.
It's because I have a cold.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Right,
all together. But I'll come up on my mic a little bit. So what I was just talking about with one of my guys in here with Sean, actually, about selling retail. When people have multiple panels, right? You close the first one and then you close the second and the third one, because when you slam it all together, it's overwhelming and it's hard to make sense. They have too many questions and they usually just flame out to go somewhere safe about it instead of make a decision on the spot. And it's kind of the same idea. When you produce an estimate that says repair dent $9,500, nobody can wrap their head around that, because it's just, what is it? That's a lot of money. It's like the price of a car. I don't understand. I don't understand any of this, and they get confused, and then they don't want to make a decision. But you're right, Mikey. There's 1,000 steps. I mean, probably literally 1,000 steps, especially on the dent that you guys did, from heating up the glue gun to applying the glue to applying the tab, removing it, cleaning the panel. You know, so many different things that you're doing to actually complete that repair. It would make sense to line item everything out. You know, in addition, we're already doing R&I stuff, but, you know, engine pull, like you said, this initial, that detail work, this cross-checking, that, right? Just all of a sudden it makes sense. It's a grocery list instead of a big giant pot of gold.
Yeah. No, that's basically why I was saying that. Joe, you got anything to add to that?
No, I mean, you guys pretty much nailed it, but you know, it's, I think the big question I have always whenever I deal with one of these claims is, you know, who comes up with the labor hours? I understand that, so body labor hours, for example, you know, I guess it's kind of almost like a comps kind of deal, like the general area the body shops have, you know, an average of a certain labor hour, right? But who comes up with that? Who decides that? And why are we PDR, advanced PDR? Why is it even? Why are the two considered the same when we're dealing with a claim? Because, you know, arguably you could train a guy to do body work, you know, a body man, and have him working professionally within a week. I know a lot of guys are going to hate me for saying that. You know, I'm not saying he's going to be great at it, but he could technically start there. PDR is a different game, to retail quality anyway. You know, it's going to take a lot longer. It's going to take a lot more effort and a lot more innovation and equipment. And so at some point I'm seeing, you know, the potential for, if we're going to be putting line items, maybe we look at our own, you know, average labor hours, if you will, if that's the language they want to see it.
Yeah, I think I think that's a pretty, because they're always going to go, well, what's the industry like area of your labor rate? Unless you're I think we're different though, because you got high end body shops that charge like $150 an hour, dude, like, you know, for their labor rate, and $250 for like machine, like whatever they call it, mechanical labor rate. So yeah, I think it's possible. And Alex says he has a good question, but do you think basically in summary is like, you know, do you think PDR will go DRP, or the insurance companies will want PDR to go DRP down the line? And do you think it's going to affect the jobs? Yeah, I do. Alex, I do down the line. I think once it starts going mainstream, they start seeing repairs like this. I think they're going to try. Yeah, for sure. What do you guys think?
You said that a while ago, Keith. I think I remember hearing you talking about that years ago, that the instant that somebody can, they will.
Of course. And they wouldn't be bad to fill it.
Keith, Keith,
some PDR company will be a DRP with one or all of the major carriers, but the fact that our industry is so splintered into tiny companies, I guess a Dent Wizard could do it if they really got into the body shop game, or if like a Caliber Service King acquired.
Keith, hey.
Choose.
I think
Did we lose him?
so we lost him, dude. Hold on a second here. So, well, I'll just let him come back and do that. But Barry said, did you advise your customer the repair might not work out and might have to be pushed for paint? And how would that work for the insurance company? Barry, good question. Absolutely, I did. 100%. Because I told him, I said, look, this might not come out all the way, but I knew the risk. And he said, Myke, if you can get it 90% or better, I'm going to be happy. But be fair warned, if it doesn't come out as good as that, or doesn't look right, you're not going to get anything. And I was totally aware of that. And that's how cool he was about that. That's how well I understood it. The communication was 100% perfect. Okay. So I really crossed my T's, dotted my I's on this one. So I mainly because I learned the big lesson of that white Rivian that came in before that. So I had one of the worst clients and a situation that unfortunately she made worse and worse and worse, and some things on my part where I learned that I can't give on damage like that a general cost. I just can't do it. I have to say, I think the safe bet to say, and I think Joe and I you discussed this, is it's going to be over your deductible. It's going to be higher than your deductible for sure. But I just have to look at it, to be honest with you. And if you want it done right, we're the best fit for that. We know, judging by the photos, we think we can do this, but I need to see it in person.
Yes.
That's the only way I think I can handle that.
That sounds fair, especially when you're getting into the larger, more severe damage. It sounds reasonable, so, and then you're off the hook as far as producing a number. And I mean, I have the hardest time selling the little dents because, they want a number via text and I give them a range. And if I'm, in a hurry, I'll just give a range and, but, and they're gone once they're gone if they're just shopping on price. But, when it comes to the big stuff, I've used your tactic, Myke, as far as saying like, listen, it's probably, I try to tell them now, like, look, we need to, if it's real bad, like the one on your Rivians there, both of them, I'll tell them straight up, look, we need to see that in person. I want to make sure this is indeed a great candidate. And then we'll talk about what it could cost. And I'll say, like, on the phone too, still in that same conversation, I'll let them know, well, if it is fixable, it'd probably be more than a typical deductible, and so if you do decide to file a claim, we can work with your insurance. And then they come in and we start talking and I ask a lot of questions and I try to, reiterate their questions so that they understand that I am listening to them. That's a big part of it. And, so that helps. I
think that's like, what do you call it? We're in Star Trek country, dude. Like we're going where no other PDR techs have gone, dude. Like for all of us, I'm not saying us. I'm talking
our industry,
everyone, right?
We're merging into collision repair now.
Yeah, Scott was talking about your topic there, Joe. Only R&Is are written at their labor rate. PDR is based off size, depth factors, and how the insurance write it. So,
good.
John Cal has been itemized estimates for about a year now, and it has much value understanding the possible. But as far as an hourly rate, it's tough. I don't itemize per hour. So, yeah. Keith, we fixed that.
Hopefully I fixed it.
All right, cool.
What's up, Daniel?
So, anyways, there's a tech right there. 2:30 in the morning. Sorry, please, could you let me know that I'm back in the start Rivian? So why it was a nightmare. So, I'm gonna talk to you, Casper, about that too later on. Here's the deal with this. Let's get in. Do you mind if we get into the estimate? Am I missing anything, Joe or Keith?
No.
No. Let's roll.
Then we'll talk about the repair. We'll talk about the non-drilling adamant repaired by Joe Garcia. And awesome. I'll tell you guys why Joe came here too, guys. The real reason, like you probably wonder why did Joe do the repair? Well, Joe's a dent hog for first of all, dude. He will not
All
give
right.
up the tool, the glue gun, or the glue tab. Neither would he put
Trying
down
to carry my weight,
now
sir.
would he neither would he put down the friggin' Black Plague tabs, dude. So I swear to God, Keith, he used those probably about 80% of the time.
Yes,
dude.
sir.
So,
That was we used gangrene extensively, Keith.
That's
that
awesome.
we wouldn't have done it without it.
but all
I
in
should have
serious. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
should have been smart enough to make them break early on. I'd be selling a lot more tabs.
Hey, I've broken some, man, but
Dude, I
not.
still have the
I have a
same
moment
one.
of silence for them when I do. I'll just tell you that, and I save them too. I put them on my mantle in my living room.
Hey, Josh, what's up?
Real quick, Myke,
What up,
not
Donnie?
to interrupt.
Yeah.
For those of our newer listeners who may not know, actually, Keith, I know a lot of guys know this about you, Keith, but Keith Cosentino, our special guest today, he's the inventor of the gangrene smooth tabs. In fact, I think you were the first guy to introduce smooth tabs in general, right? Way back when.
Well, to be completely fair, no. Blem had a
Okay.
smooth tab, and I never saw personally, but Ultra had a smooth tab that they turned on a lathe that wasn't plastic injection molded like most tabs are. They're ground down. But I was the first one to make them flat on the face, and that was really what changed everything.
Okay.
And then from there, we just kept expanding the line and getting the design right. So they were not only did they hook up, they didn't break. That's a big deal. And before they were green, they were gray. And before the gray, what really got me started in tabs was crease tabs, because some of you are too short in the industry to remember a time, but there didn't used to be any crease tabs. They were all round. And we started fixing crease dents by lining them up and making this mess out of them.
Yes.
So I was like, well, man, I need a crease tab. I got to just make it. So I
got
did.
that on video.
Yeah, I remember trimming up my oval tabs,
Yep.
way back when, and make little crease tabs out of them.
Yep.
Yeah, right on.
So get back on track. Nothing pulls hard as the Black Plague tabs. Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Where was I at, dude? I don't remember.
So we're talking about the estimate.
Oh, okay. But before that, Joe,
it's a natural step.
Let me tell you about Joe, though, because the reason why Joe did the repair is, number one, I know he's a good fucking tech, dude. Two,
thank you.
I needed to film, and if I filmed and tried to do this even by myself or with someone else, I wouldn't get the footage I wanted. Two, Joe and I worked so damn hard on getting to this point in this type of repair, and it would not be the same without bringing him into the repair. We both, one day Joe goes, Myke, I'm charging $175. I'm starting my price at $175. I said, you start at $175? He goes, yeah. I go, I'm there too. I'm gonna do $175. He's like, no, Myke, don't do $175, man. You might not get any business. I go, no, I'm gonna do it. And then he goes, I don't know. Within a year, he goes, I'm at $195 now. Thanks for the raise, dude. Let's go, man. $195. Now we're at $205. So
nice.
But I'm not bragging about how much we make. And that's not what it's about, gentlemen. I'm saying is that know your worth, right? Believe your worth. And, that's what led to this estimate, dude. Like we're tired of getting stomped on. No. I'm tired of doing these big crashes and smashes, and halfway through going, this sucks, dude. I didn't charge enough.
Every single one. Everyone in the middle. I call it the roller coaster. As soon as you go down on the first 3 glue pulls, you're like, this thing's going to be awesome. It's going to come out so fast. And then at the bottom, when you're struggling and it's like click, 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 you hate it. You want to go home again.
Yeah.
Black Plague, Black Plague plat. Now you say it, Keith.
Black Plague PDR tabs.
Yeah.
Hit deadrattabs.com is our website.
What about Alan? Yeah. So that's why Joe did the repair. It just fit.
Wait,
right?
Do you guys, are your service areas overlapping? Do you have the same customers?
No, not even close.
No. How far away are you, Joe?
About an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, so just about as far as you could get without you. Probably have a couple customers that cross over, but
we do. We send each other here and there.
Yeah.
But it's, there's a lot of ground to cover, and urban sprawl and a lot of a lot of dent guys too.
Yeah.
You know,
This-
when you get in the head trash of like, oh, I got too many competitors. This market, these guys are all stealing my work. Just go on the freeway, look around. There's so many cars.
You know what?
Dude.
Yeah, you are so right, Keith. I mean, sitting up there on a overpass, watching, multiple freeways and just cars everywhere out here. It's like, I think we'll be all right.
We'll be fine,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Scotto, you're 100% right on that. 100% right. Here's the deal. So let's talk about the estimate process right here. So I get the okay to do the repair, and first thing I do is call Joe. Say, Joe, we got another one, dude. We got a heater, dude. We got one, dude. And Joe's like, well, because Joe's always apprehensive, right? Joe's like, can you want to show it to me? And I show it to him.
He's calculated. He's not apprehensive.
Yeah, I can see him going.
There you go.
I
evaluate my opportunities.
So anyways, he goes, well, what do you think you can write it at? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's definitely over 10 grand. I know that because this is it's not even any better. It's just different than the other one, but just as complex. Right. And so I start writing it, and I'm like, man, I don't think this is worth enough, dude, for this. So I write it on my the Mobile Tech RX.
Mm-hmm.
And I call Keith. I said, Keith, I got another one, dude. And Keith goes, what do you mean? And I go, I got another Rivian. He goes, okay. I go, it's another SUV Rivian R1S. He goes, okay. Same spot. Okay. Just as big. Oh, no. And I go, guess where it's from? He goes, Fresno. And I go, yep, Fresno. He goes, shit. I go, all right, Keith, here we go. Here it is. And I sent Keith the photo, and he's like, you can see Keith like, I don't know, man, that might not be repairable, And so, but even though I know Keith seems he works with some of the top-notch techs, but
I was never thinking it wasn't coming out. I knew you guys would fix it.
Yeah. We all had doubts, dude, at one moment, dude. So anyhow, I said, all right, Keith, let's do it. He's, well, what are you thinking? And Keith, I don't know yet, but I'm thinking between 10 and 15. I go, you know what? I don't know. Not 10, not doing it for 10. Dude. Mm-hmm. He goes, well, you could shoot for 12 and see if they give you, maybe they'll shoot you down. Maybe you get 10. And I was like, yeah, that's a possibility, but I don't think I want that. Let me write it up. Right. And I come back to Keith and I say, look, I want 15. He goes, yeah, you want 15? I said, I want 15. Why do you want 15? I said, well, look at that. Look what we got to do to this thing. We might have to take this whole thing back off. There's no access points. I know Joe, he might want to try to glue pull this whole thing. So I might be here till next year, dude. So let's write it for a good cost. And he goes, okay, well, let's do it. So I write my estimate. I can't get it in mobile. I'll be honest with you guys. I couldn't get it to 15 grand to a Mobile Tech RX because
obviously you can go in there and just override the number and put what you want. But what you're saying is with the way it's built, it wasn't going to spit
with
out
the specialty pricing, right? I'm talking the specialty pricing, the one that's starts at $300 for the first inch and then $100 per inch after that. I think it came under 14 grand. So, and people are going, well, why do you think that it was worth 15,000? Based on the cost of these cars that are fixed, how much time the client's going to save, how much paint they're going to save, how much the insurance is going to save, and at the end of the day, how much we're worth it, right?
I mean, it's it's an interesting question, Myke. Do you even have to answer it? Is the question that I would think?
No, you don't have to, but I'm answering for myself. These people are probably thinking about it.
I know.
Yeah,
but it's like, when you go into, I don't buy Tiffany's products, so I guess I have for my wife, but I don't buy some of these super high-end stuff. I don't buy Louis bags. But when I go in there, they don't spend an hour trying to convince me that the price is valid. It just is the price. And if you don't want it, like, most people are going to leave without buying a bag, and they're fine with that,
Yeah, that's right.
You see, Doug has a good explanation, dude. Advanced PDR needs to come up with some sort of labor rate or value that combines our skill set. Where all of those things, good body shops have great bodymen, great prep guys, great painters, and insurance understands how to pay the process. We possess all of those skills in one skill set. They got paid per hours of each process. So, yeah, agreed.
So you couldn't get it high enough on MTRX.
No, I couldn't. So I called you, right? And first of all, let's introduce. Like I called you, people are like, why'd you call Keith, and why? What's going on here? So can you want to clear this up? Like understand like why?
Yeah.
And before you say that, though, I did send an estimate to Dent Ops to see what they would come up with. Okay.
Yeah, they're a great company.
And they sent an estimate, and it was unfortunately way lower than what I wanted. Okay, so there you go. So go ahead now.
And that's not their
it's
fault.
Nothing to do with them.
Right?
I'm
So,
not. It's not a put down thing.
We'll talk about that in a second.
It's all new territory with these Rivians too.
Number one challenge with Rivian is they don't release any numbers for their stuff unless you're a certified shop. So if you're not certified, you can't get the R9 times. Part prices, nothing. So they're really protecting their certified shops, making it hard for everyone else to fix them. So what I started doing is, just like a lot of us over the last couple of years, I've seen the light with speaking to the insurance companies in their language, aka CCC. Most of the time, a couple of insurance companies use Autotex or Mitchell or something, but most everybody's on CCC. So I've noticed when we submit in CCC, the approval process is much easier. Kind of back to your original point that in my estimate used to say fixed dent $900, so they don't know how to plug that in to their processes. They don't know how to pay that. I have a belief that all adjusters' goals, almost all of them, I should say, is to get their job done and not get fired, in that order, right? Maybe in the other order, not get fired first, do their job second. Some of them act like they're paying their own money out of their pocket, but most of them, they just want to process the claim and move on to the next one and not get in trouble for doing something outside of the actual processes. So in the process of me learning that I can use CCC through DentOps or some other translation company, and MTRX does them, some other independent companies have done them. I've used all of them, and they were great on some. And then when the adjusters came back to me and wanted me to justify the line items, especially if it was written conventional, I couldn't do it. I didn't even write it, so they asked me questions, and I look like and feel like an idiot because I didn't even create this estimate. I don't know what it says. I don't know what I want 4/10 of tint time. I don't know how to tint anything, Yeah. So I'm like, this isn't the way for me. I understand CCC is the way, but this isn't the way for me. It's not how I want to represent my business. It feels a little weird. So I wanted to fix the system for myself. So I found somebody who's got 20 plus years in the conventional auto body world, working for DRP and non-DRP shops. Brought that person on board full time. Her name's Tammy. And then we formed a company together. It's called Claim Connection. So now at Bullseye at my company, if I get a claim, I take the photos, I submit the information and the claim number to Tammy. I just slide it all across the desk to her. She's going to be the one that writes it. She might ask me a few questions, or in the submission form, I'll tell her, this is how much I want for this car. And she'll figure out how to plug that into CCC in a way that makes sense. And she completely interfaces with the adjuster on my behalf. I don't have those conversations anymore. I'm just the sales guy and the dent repair guy. And she does all of the arguing, the justifying, the calling 52 times, following up emails, all the stuff that we hate to do. So that's why you called me, because I said, hey, Myke, I'm piloting this new service a few months ago. Joe, we did some for you as well. And I wanted you guys just to test it for me and see how it worked for you. And we learned a lot of lessons, especially on your claims, Joe. We learned a lot.
Yeah, me too.
We didn't do as well on some of those scenarios, and we can talk about that too if we want.
Yeah.
That's why you handed it off to me. And then, but when she wrote it in conventional, she called me too, Myke, and she said, Keith, I don't know how to get 15K out of this quarter panel. It's just not that big. It's not that complex. Every which way I write it in conventional, I'm at 12, 13, even adding all these little tiny things like taking connectors on and off. She's like, I can't get it there. And that's when it came back to you, Myke. And the reason I posed the question is like, do you need to answer anyone on what it's worth to you? Because if you're the ones who are going to fix it, if you need 15 grand, you need 15 grand. If there's no way to verbalize that, hey, sorry, take it somewhere else where they can justify filling it full of paint and Bondo. Right. So what we ended up doing is going into CCC, putting all the R&I times that we could guess, because Rivian won't give them out. So you have to use a comparable model, like a Ridgeline or a Escalade or something like that for the truck or the SUV. So getting approximate R&I times, and then putting a line or two for the actual PDR repair, and just flopping it on their desk and say, hey, I don't care how you guys need to make this work. This is the number. Yeah, we're going to speak in your language for most of this, but this part is our language because it's what we do, and it's 15.
Yeah.
So then the adjuster had to come in person.
Well, you and I, remember we were talking, and I was like I want 15, but the way it's written, I was a little confused about the way it was written, because Tammy had to write it as a, I guess an Escalade, right?
Right. Just for the
because we had to guess them on the labor hours, but it was still going to be. I was adamant though about writing it as PDR, because I talked to John Scotto. Yeah, he made a good point, and that really stuck with me. He says, Myke, if we don't write them in PDR, they'll never really truly like accept PDR, And I kind of resonated. And that was before. I think it was on the first Rivian that we did, and that carried over to this one. And that's why I said, all right, Keith, let me think about this, because it's written as one line, but I wanted to be a little more elaborate about it. And then I was just like, over the weekend, I just thought about it, and I talked to Joe, and I talked to Mary, I talked to a lot of people and kind of got their aspects about it. And I said, you know what, that Monday I said, Keith, I'll let you know, but I'm not sure. I might handle it myself. And you were like, well, I really would like to see, just let me turn it in. Let's see what happens, And I was like, okay, let's, Monday came along. I really took my time making sure that this wasn't going to try to at least on my end, it wasn't going to try to choke it up and mess it up. But then I said, let's do it, Keith. Let's just turn it in. Let's see what happens. Just roll the dice. Let's see what happens, and we still weren't out of the woods, dude.
No, not yet. I did leave out a piece. She got it over to like $22K written as a replacement, even guessing on the part price based on some research on in Facebook, where people have talked about some part repair or part replacement prices. So at least we had this benchmark. If we knew what a comparable replacement would be, 22. So that added a little bit of basis for how 15 makes sense. At least it's a little bit of it's not a number out of complete nowhere, right? Right. It's like replacement is what everyone was saying on social. The reason Matt Boyette got the money he did, the reason the guy took it down there is supposedly the factory procedures to cut the panel off. And that thing goes all the way up over the roof. It's a uniside, basically. So that's how they get to $40,000 to fix a bedside. So with them staring down the barrel of that, all of a sudden 15 looks pretty reasonable. But comparing it to $800 dent looks unreasonable.
Yeah.
All in the context, right?
It is all in the context, right? So apparently that was getting worked out. We didn't get anything. It was sat in the shop for 10 days before we even got anybody to it got past the 3 different estimators. I talked to Scott. The third one I called my client and I said, hey, this guy's not answering my text messages. I just want to let you know this is documented. I sent him a text message 12 o'clock, Wednesday, called 3 times, did this. I sent him my log.
Well, that's great.
He goes, Myke, I'm gonna call him. Calls him, estimator, texts me 10 minutes later. Hey, I'm gonna be over there. I'm thinking about being over there, tomorrow. If you're gonna be around, and I say, yeah, I'll be around. So
now you're thinking about
He shows up, right? I told you that you got to have a client that's behind you.
Game
So
changer completely. I
game
think
changer.
that's one of the nuggets you dropped on this show, Myke, is like having that candid conversation with the customer at drop off and saying like the way you worded it was actually pretty beautiful. Like, are you going to go to bat for me? Are you going to be on
Mhm,
my side? You know, like
mhm.
are we a team on this or not?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
when you propose it like that, you're like, all right, teammate, it's time to go to bat. These guys are trying to screw us, right? They're trying to
Keith,
screw you
I
and
was
Yeah,
me.
willing.
we are, right?
I was willing to say, if he said, I'm not really like that guy, I'd be like, well, I'm not really not that fit. I was ready to
Yeah,
go, but this client, the best guy, dude. Like, honestly, this
that's
guy,
awesome.
you don't
Doesn't it
fart
make you
around.
want to
Like,
do like the world's best repair for people like that? Like when
Absolutely.
absolutely, dude.
they appreciate it so much, you just want to every last little ripple. You're like, no, I'm going chasing that down.
Yeah.
Well, that's truly what is at the heart of all this, you guys. And it's not about greed. This is about innovation and about allocating the resources in order to do our best work because we are passionate about what we do. And I know that's kind of not there's people that think we shouldn't be proud of the work we do, but I would argue that the best PDR technicians are the ones who are proud of their work and
Oh
love what
yeah.
they do.
Yeah. All right. So that made a difference. So the next day, the insurance adjuster came in, and this is where it gets funny. So he comes in, clipboard. He's super nice guy. I mean, I'm having a unicorn situation here, right? I don't know if it's how much of a unicorn it was, but anyways, he comes in, great attitude, like, "Hey, Myke, how you doing?" And I've seen this before too with great attitude guys in the
Yeah.
beginning, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh snap, here we go, dude. This guy's
It's
too
a
nice,
setup.
dude." Yeah. Oh well, he's looking at the Rivi, covers it, and he's talking. Oh, is that your bike over there? Yeah, he's shooting the small talk, And I'm thinking, oh, he's just small talk. He's gonna shoot me down here, dude. Anyways, he's looking. I got the Rivian covered because I don't want any scratches on it and whatnot. And he's looking at it. He's like, okay, so what are you looking for this? I go, 15. He goes, 15? 1,500, we could do that, dude. And I go, no. I go, 15,000. And he goes, 15,000? I go, yeah, 15,000. He goes, huh. Let me do some research on this. He goes, I don't see any of the times in here. He's trying to look for the labor rates. He's trying to look for the all that stuff,
Right.
dude. And it's not in there. And he goes, it's not in here. I go, I know. And that's not in here. I go, do you know much about these Rivians? He's like, not a lot. And I go, well, these things are very expensive to fix. Like for you, collision. I go, I heard just the bed is 10,000 just to get the bed. It's a unibody. You take all this stuff up, and he starts looking, and he starts looking around. He's like, yeah. He goes, Myke, let me get a powwow going with my peoples, man. I'm gonna get a round table going, and I'll get back to you in a couple days. And I was like, okay. He goes, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the average repair for these type of Rivians. And I was like, okay, go ahead. Like I kind of had a good feeling after he said that, right?
Yeah, that's the fairest guy in the country right there. You got.
Yeah. So he comes back 2 days later and says, okay, Myke, I got you $15,010.
Did he come down? Like, did he cut 100 or 200 or anything off of it? Or did he give you
Yeah, he
every
cut
penny?
like some of the bumper stuff off, dude. Because he wants to give some of the bumper allowance to Scott, so our client. But
They kind of
no big deal.
they kind of have to do that. It's in the name of their job, right? Adjuster.
I know.
They have to adjust it. If they don't
Yeah.
adjust it, they're not doing their job.
And that is precisely why Paul Corden says always start high and heavy
Yeah.
with your
Wow.
estimate.
I believe it. I mean, like it's an it wasn't easy repair for sure. I mean, it took. If you guys want to know how long it took 32 hours to do that. I just remember we stayed till about 9:00 Friday night, stayed till almost 1 or 1:30 on Saturday night or Sunday morning. Came back, finished at 1 p.m. on Sunday. So
Yeah,
that's
intense.
straight.
So
So
one thing I want to talk about with these claims is that a lot of you already know this, but for some of you that may not, the insurance companies have a very predictable playbook for people who are out of their DRP network. And the DRP network, if you don't know, is the body shops that assign a contract with the insurance companies to be able to write their own tickets as long as they agree to do them cheaper. Essentially is how that works. So that's why when you call your insurance for a claim, they say go to Caliber. That's a DRP shop. They can write their own ticket, get you booked in, do the repair, and bill them, and they can act as their own agent essentially. When you're out of that network, they don't want to pay. They like their prices with the special contract. So they use these 3 tactics: delay, deny, and defend. So the delay is the one you're going to hit with every single time, and it happened with you, Myke. No response. And to be clear, when people are working with Claim Connection, really, you should not have been doing anything, but you really invested in this car. You wanted to talk to the guy and yourself. But generally, Tammy's doing all that because that's the part that I don't want to do. But they will delay as long as possible. And it works really well because especially if you have the car dropped in your shop, the customer's getting antsy. You want them to be happy. They're seeming to become unhappy because the car's been sitting for 10 days. And now you're thinking, you know what? I wanted 15. I just didn't want this thing to go away. They offer me 10. I'll just do it. That happens all the time. And maybe it's not a $5,000 swing. Maybe it's $50 or $100, but that delay is a very powerful tool. So if you want to dig in and get all the money, you have to kind of put on this immunity suit for the delay tactic right away. Tell your customer, this is going to be a drawn out thing. It could go 2 or 3 weeks because they are going to try to drag it out. And that's why when you got him involved, all of a sudden, boom, things start happening because they won't screw him around as much as they'll screw you around. You're not their client. They don't care about you. So be ready for the delay and have a playbook for it. Having that customer on board is the wild card or like the trump card for that. But be ready for that. And then deny, they're going to start saying no to everything. And like me with the conventional estimate, they're saying we don't pay this and we don't pay that. I don't have anything to argue with them about. I don't know how to counter that statement because they just told me what they don't do. How do I know what they don't do or do? I'm kind of smoked. Tammy lives in that world. She knows they're lying and she knows how to tell them, well, you do and you have to, and here's why. Here's a position statement from Ford, and here's this is a reusable part or a non-reusable part. And she'll hold their feet to the fire and tell them why they're lying and make sure they pay up. Right. And I'm not equipped to have those conversations. And if I had a bigger company, I probably, if you have somebody in your office who's supposed to do that stuff, that's what they should be doing and learning how to do. But if you're an owner operator kind of guy, or you're just really high level tech and you don't want to be on the phones all day, you need somebody who knows how to do it. So delays, deny, and then they're going to defend their positions, but it kind of falls back. You have to know how to tell them they're lying. We're keeping records on certain insurance companies have paid certain things in the past, and then again they say they're not going to pay it, and you produce paperwork and go, well, you paid it before, you got to pay it again. So it's a game for sure. You have to know how to play it. It's like you're running onto a football field. If you don't know the rules, good luck making any progress.
Bring a knife to a gunfight, right?
Yeah.
Keith, is it fair to say that if you want the big dollars with the insurance company, I mean, you pretty much have to look like a body shop? Or is that exaggeration?
Look as in how you act, or look as in your physical shop appearance?
Everything across the board. Delivery, presentation.
I think yes, from the perspective of we're basically trying to be this. We're trying to be the same industry. If you want to stop, if we stop calling it conventional auto body versus PDR, if we just talk about auto body repair, the industry is already established. There's an office with people who work in it. There's people who do administrative work. They talk on computers and emails to other people who talk on computers and emails. And then there's guys in the shop that actually fix the cars. That's kind of how the industry works. I'm not saying it couldn't be reinvented, but that's how it works right now. And so if we're trying to assimilate ourselves into that industry, it makes sense that we would try to do the same things that they're already doing. It's like if you open a hamburger joint and you say, hey, the only way you can order hamburgers here is on horseback. That's really tough. That's not how people order hamburgers right now. I'm not saying it couldn't work, but
no, it's a good point.
So yes, I agree with you. You're kind of trying to create the same systems and processes for everything but the actual repair. Like,
Right.
you know, your dream shop, Joe, would be a closed down body shop that you can
Yeah.
convert over to PDR, right? You want everything that they do, you want it. Even the paint
Exactly.
booth, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I
But
almost
just,
went that route early last year,
I
actually.
just want to fix them differently. I just want to fix them
Mhm.
differently because it's better and it's more,
And
and it's fun, and it puts less garbage in the landfill, and it's just better for
oh,
the car. Everything is better about it.
yes, yeah, and I mean, and that brings up a whole other uh, great benefit or advantage, if you will, of what we're doing here. I mean, that car is an example. The uni panel, two bedsides, and a or two quarter panels and a roof are all one piece. Imagine all
Right.
of the waste that we prevented doing that. And we need to as an industry start educating the consumers on that right there, because that's a big deal, across the board, whether people want to admit it or not, and I'm not a fan of the government ever getting involved in what we're doing, but listen, if your state starts to put mandates out that, hey, this is too much waste created, that could be in favor of PDR. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it does. So yeah, essentially trying to recreate those same processes is how we're going to get to a similar level of compensation
Yes.
to what they're getting for conventional stuff. I do have to say, I've learned a lot about the industry and about legality. And in California, us California techs, we have a really, really important requirement that I need to make sure everybody knows about, because I didn't know it. And you guys have learned it working with me. But uh, essentially, in the California, we have the BAR, which regulates everyone working on cars. And then we have the Department of Insurance, which regulates insurance companies. And in auto body insurance claims, the two arms are kind of overlapping a little bit, because the insurance company has to play by the rules of the Department of Insurance. But as a repair shop, you got to play by the rules of the BAR. And the BAR says specifically, whatever way you write that car is the way you need to fix it. So if you submit a conventional estimate and then you do a PDR repair, you're technically in a violation of the BAR. And they have the ability to shut you down right away. Just make you cease business until you fix whatever it is you're screwing up. Now, we all know that fundamentally that is incorrect. The owner of the vehicle can choose how and where their vehicle gets fixed. But the way the BAR sees it is, if the insurance company sends over a sheet and you don't do what's on that sheet, you're committing insurance fraud. And when I've talked to some attorneys who are high up there in this industry around the country, they say this is completely false nonsense. That's not how it works. Your contract is with the owner of the vehicle. You can do whatever the owner of the vehicle wants you to do. The insurance company has no control over that. And if you look to that John Eagle case, does everybody know that by now, Joe?
Yeah, the one with the truck in Texas you're talking about?
The Honda Fit that had the roof glued onto it.
Oh, okay. That was a truck. I thought it was a truck. So yeah, but
yeah, it was the 30-second
Caliber collision one.
No, it was called John Eagle. The 30-second story is, shop Honda Fit comes in with hail damage. State Farm, the shop says we want to weld a new roof on. State Farm says, no, why don't you glue a new roof on? That's all we'll pay for. We're not going to pay to weld. We're going to pay to bond it on, because that's what the other shops will do. So the shop says, whatever, that's all they're going to pay. That's what we'll do. So they bond the roof on. Then the thing, 2 owners later, the thing gets in a giant wreck, in a fire. The roof doesn't buckle right. And they investigate it and figure out that it didn't buckle right because it was bonded and not welded. And the bonding was not a factory Honda repair method. Welding was. And the shop was a factory certified Honda repair shop. So they got sued and they lost for like $42 million. But you know who didn't get sued and lose? State Farm. Is the shop. So even though the State Farm dictated how they did it, they have no culpability at all. It's the shop. So the idea that that insurance company could just tell you, write you a sheet that says, cut a hole in the roof and put a new thing in there, and you're committing fraud by not doing that. That's a nonsense idea, right? So I think that the rule that we are abiding by with the BAR was written when there was only one repair method. When it's auto body is going to be a little more simple. So it's a nonsense rule. It needs to be fixed, but it is in place now. So if you guys are doing insurance work in California, you need to be very forceful with the insurance company that they send back a sheet that says what you're going to do. So even if you submit an estimate that says PDR and they say, hey, completely approved, Joe, here's, I got you everything you needed. And you look at the sheet they send over and it says replace hood, replace fender, paint this, paint that. You're technically committing insurance fraud, even though you haven't asked to do fraud. You've told everyone what you're going to do. It's all on paper. It's all documented. But by them sending that sheet over, they're like committing you to fraud. So unless, I don't think you would be convicted if you went in front of a judge and said, listen, here's on paper what I said I was going to do. I sent it to everybody. There's photos, it's documentation. They sent over some other thing that I can't even do. You know, there's no intent to defraud anyone on my side. They're sending over nonsense paperwork. I have a hard time believing you'd actually be convicted of anything, but who wants to go down through that problem? So the takeaway is that you need to be forceful with the adjuster and say, you must return this sheet saying what I'm going to do is what I said I'm going to do, or you guys are now in violation of the Department of Insurance and I'm going to report you. Because the Department of Insurance reps have told me, when I told them the scenario, they go, which insurance company is doing that? I'm like, what do you mean, which one? They're all doing it daily, everywhere across the country. What do you mean? And they said, give me the claim number, the date, the insurance company, the adjuster, and he will investigate every single one of them. And they are going to have a fine if that's what they're doing. So they're not supposed to be doing their side of the business either. So it's a little wonky. That's strictly for California tax. That's my PSA. We've got all the requirements down in Claim Connection. We can help you. But if you're doing your own, just know that something could happen down the line. The BAR, they call a complaint-driven organization. So they're not really going out there and trying to bust you. But if somebody puts a call in, they're going to come and investigate.
Yeah, I hate BAR. I freaking hate
I mean, you know, I like what they stand for, Myke, because like people not getting taken advantage of by shady shops. I just feel like a lot of good guys get caught in the dragnet when they're looking for bad guys.
I know. That's what it's kind of like. It's kind of like the BBB, dude. But they're I'd say they're not in your hair as much. Only you're on the radar if you don't pay them. So yeah, and they can shut your shop down. So
yeah. John commented there that it makes no sense at all. I couldn't agree more. It makes no sense at all. But that's it. Yeah. So John
Scotto, he's no matter what state makes sure final bill states the way you've repaired it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very good advice. I know there are some states where you can convert. The customer can make the call. Sorry, Joe. Caveat. Here's how dumb it is. The guy at the BAR told me, if they take the check and give it to the customer, and then he gives it to you, no problems at all. The check that says replace and repaint everything, they can give it to him, no problem. He can give it to me, no problem. But if they give it to me first, I'm going, that's a felony. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Joe, I cut you off a little bit there, Joe.
Joe, you want to talk about your repair a little bit? Because I've been showing like a little bit of the process, unless you had something else to add to what Keith was saying.
Sorry about that. I had coughed earlier and I hit mute. And I didn't even realize I was on mute. I was trying to talk. No, so basically the moral of the story here, Keith, is much like John Scotto said, make sure the final bill clarifies how you did the repair.
Yeah. The final sheet with the check. Yeah, it's important. And sometimes they just flat out won't do it. And you can't. I mean, that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow up with them 1,000 times for you and make sure they do it right.
Yep.
But it's just more things chewing up your time. So like some of these claims will make you think, maybe I don't want to be in this insurance business. In fact, that's a thought I had for the first few I did. Maybe I don't want to be in this. Yeah, this kind of sucks. I don't like it. I get like, I'm a pretty good communicator, pretty good negotiator, but with these adjusters, I was getting upset, like angry.
Yeah.
Because they're telling me that, you know, I'm not going to get what I need to get to fix this car, even though the owner of the vehicle wants it done.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, it's alienating and it's totally foreign for a lot of us. You know, I mean, we are, our whole industry is moving towards collision now and minor collision, you know, on the lighter end, but you know, it's growing pains and, you know, this whole subject here of this Rivian is is like the fruit of our labor. We've had a lot of swings and misses, Myke and I, and you have too, Keith. So
Yeah.
and we're learning together, and this was very much a collaborative effort here across the board. And Myke, I have to say, man, you orchestrated this thing just all the way through, dude. And you planted the seed. I remember over a year and a half ago when you were telling me, dude, we're going to get Rivians, man. We're going to start planting seeds to get these Rivians in. And you got it, man. You got two within a month of each other from the same geographic location, man. Like just almost like, and then when the first one, to your credit, it didn't fit. And you had the integrity to say, you know what, we're not a good fit, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And the universe just dropped another one right on your lap, dude.
Sure did.
So, and that's a testament to your brand, man. I mean, a lot of our, of our industry, I talk to guys, we all talk to dent guys all the time. And we all come from, most of us come from humble beginnings. We're technicians, and we think with the technician's mind, and we think that we have to be competitive with everybody out there, and be what essentially are price takers, right?
Right.
And that's just not the case. We're not a state of perfect competition. We're not selling a bag of sugar here that's the same across companies. There is very unique and varying skills upon service provider. And if your brand is strong, you're actually closer. And if you can communicate to the consumers and now the insurance companies what it is that you do, and what the results are, and how you do it, and if you can communicate that through your video or through your marketing, or even just talking, you're pretty much closer to a monopoly, because like in Dent Time's case, only Dent Time can produce a Dent Time style of experience, customer experience for their clients.
Listen, man, I hope this record gets broken, dude. I don't even know if it's a record, but I hope this is just the beginning for many
It's
PDR
the
techs.
4-minute mile, Myke.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I believed in it, man. I believed in what we were going to try to do. Look, you can tell that this repair, look how many times we were trying to glue pull this, man. This thing is like stuck right here.
It fought you.
It fought
every step of the way.
It almost oil canned like 2 times, dude. I mean, like we thought we are going to have to do the power PR box situation a couple times. At least me. I was like biting my nails, dude, at some points of doing this repair. That sets me up to talk about it, Joe, on this next situation, on these walk us through this thing. So what are we doing right here? What's going on in this situation?
Yeah, talk to me about that. Talk to me about that top tab, Joe, because I don't know if I would have put that one up there at the same time. Give me the theory behind that, because obviously it worked.
Absolutely. And I love hearing other perspectives, by the way, especially, from yourself, Keith. I know you're no slouch at Smash Repair, man. So to answer your question, my logic on putting that round tab up towards the top, if you remember seeing the dent, where at the very beginning, there was a slight, it almost kind of came into like the shape of a triangle, and we had a very broad part of the dent up where that round Kiko super tab is. And my logic there was to place that there not as a power pull, because in my experiences, I've been learning that 95% or more of my tension pulls are my pulls like that, with the glue tabs and the strapping to an object and pulling. Most of my stuff is tension pull, because it's controllable, as opposed to what I would call a power pull. So what you're seeing there, that round tab, is my tension pull. I'm just holding a slight bit of tension on the panel. I'm not trying to yank that part out. The part I'm trying to yank out is that bottom part where you see the big hook, and that's actually hooked to a come along, a winch puller. And so we're trying to do a power pull along that bottom. First, it was down the bottom edge, and we got it to move. You couldn't even see it really moving, but it moved actually pretty well. and then we moved up above the body line and really started getting some movement with the power pull while we had a little bit of tension on that other tab. So that's what that's for.
So just putting a little direct tension into the panel with that and kind of stabilizing it.
I feel
Did you-
like I get
Did you consider lateral tension up and down,
Oh, yeah.
spreading
Yes,
that
we
thing
did.
open? I'm sure
Yeah,
there was a lot of discussion around that.
we
Talk,
actually
talk to me about it.
and that's where I say this was a real collaboration. This was not just repaired by me, and Myke tagged in a few times, and I got to video him, doing his thing. And we did discuss lateral tension. Unfortunately, we couldn't see where we could get a good bite on it. Obviously Myke has pretty much every device at our fingertips over there in that shop.
Yeah.
And trying to get a foothold on side to side was not really an option. And then even strapping something even to the roof, if we had to, if we thought that it could help us, we would certainly do it. But there
Yeah.
just wasn't there wasn't much area to do that. But I will tell you this about the Rivian quarter panel is that there is a roundness to it. So it almost, in my feeling, has a little bit of tension within, almost like when you're working on a rail.
Yeah.
And so that tension tended to help us. I feel like it kept things from oil canning, from fatiguing on us. So yeah, that's where we were coming from. But we were looking at every angle how we could do this. But you can see we were fighting it, trying to, because we were also babying it.
Sure.
If you see some of those cam auto tabs that we had on there, they were segmented. In fact, our very first power pull was on a cam auto tab that had these segments. And, I was pulling with the come along from, perpendicularly from, about 5 feet away. And then Myke was spotting it through on the side. And he saw where it was starting to pull a little too much in one spot, right in the center,
Yeah.
And so right away we took it off. We did this over and over a few times because again, this is a high stakes game here that we're playing. We didn't want to mess anything up. We didn't want to
You don't want to go backwards on that one.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
No. Yeah, we to answer your question too as well, Keith, on the elaborating on the lateral tension, the Rivian is very curvy, right? From
Yeah.
all around, all directions. So, there was no really good angle to do any lateral. So that was kind of out of the question. You can see how curvy it is when we zoom in close. It's curvy above, outside. So that was definitely in our playbook, but it wasn't going to be for this scenario here.
Yeah. So I think when they're round like that, they have a little more strength versus a big old flat panel. Those are
Yes.
tough to get straight.
Yeah, there was some stability in there for that
Yeah.
reason.
I think that, this is also a testament to all the tools that are out there, right? I mean, from the tapping down tips. Right now I'm using a Guardian tip to really protect that soft. You tap too hard on this, you're divoting it, right? Now you're gonna super glue pull that out, right?
Yeah. You're exactly right, Myke. It reminds me a lot of Subaru metal, the way it just kind of like moves like putty, and that can be good or it can be really bad.
Yeah.
The real miracle of this whole thing is that you guys did it with a line board. Just make my eyes go cross-eyed.
I know it. I know it.
Yeah,
I've tried changing, man. I tried changing my ways, Keith. And
More power to you,
habit
man. Like
die hard,
you have immunity. If you deleted all the fog boards, I would be out of the PDR business because I cannot read that thing.
No, and then what we did, we took this, Shane Jack's edge jack, right?
Yep.
It was bent all the way around the edge, and we were able to just straighten that out. It was butter, but man, this thing just really just tweaked it right in. So it was very helpful. Going back to the tools though, I mean, look at this. This is a tool we've all had, at least most of us veteran techs. You better have that tool. It just really helps straighten out the edge, the tap downs, the glue pulls, the glue tabs. Keith, obviously, you'll see later on as we get more down the line going for the home stretch, you'll see a lot at the end. The finish work was glue pulling, tabs, gangrene tabs, crease tabs. And we were just tap, 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 and reaper tabs. We're doing a lot of reapers as well between there.
I'm going to show you something. Hang on.
Yeah. So let's move up a little bit, but you guys, because I'm not in the focus, I have it on a different camera. But Joe, look at this. Where are we at right there? I was concerned about to the right. It looked like it was getting ready, like that deep part on the right crease. Look at you, dude. Yeah.
So finally in a shop now, I've fixed mounted both of the edge jacks, the little one and the big one. They live in this lifters all the time. So now I don't have to fumble with it and go get the other one. Bam, it's ready to go all the time. And I thought that was so awesome when Shane put that set screw in there to do that. But if you had in the field, you don't use this that often. You don't, it's like silly to put it in your lifter.
Right.
But now these babies are ready to go all the time.
That's what I do. I keep mine.
Idea,
I just keep mine dedicated, dude. Like that one.
Well, yeah, because everyone sends you free tools, so you have a whole bunch.
That's true.
Hey,
very true.
Let's keep
It,
that.
you only had to pay 10,000 hours of video content to get free tools.
of willing, passionate, like love to do that, dude.
Yeah, Mike.
Hey,
how many of you used that original?
Dude, I'm still waiting for your version thing, but they don't break, dude. So I'm like, when am I going to get another type?
I know
dude?
everyone's asking me to make new tabs. I'm like, I don't know. They work really good. I guess I could make the ones that break for you. Sell a lot more tabs. But what I am making is those green tension straps in a bunch of different lengths. So that's not
everybody's telling me about those. I'm gonna have to go and order some from you, Keith.
Yeah, they're not super groundbreaking, to be completely transparent, but they do what they're supposed to do, and they're not expensive. But I only had one long one. Now I have like 5 or 6 or different lengths.
Daniel Grom, get out of here, bro. Like, you know what? I'm not doing nothing for you. I'm not doing nothing for you, man. So, Joe, let's get into like, I want to get a little far. You're using, pretty much you were using a Pee-wee tap down a lot for the fine details. You're using a cover on that one, right? What cover is that a Guardian cap or what is that?
Yeah, that was, I think, the Anson little Guardian caps. No, yeah, we did use a Pee-wee quite a bit, quite extensively.
Is that an Anson product, Pee-wee tip?
That's a new one. That was a test product, but you're gonna see the peak ones. That's not the one that's gonna be out actually.
Yeah, that was a prototype we were using, and it was, we sent it back to the drawing board on that one, but we did use a Pee-wee. The Pee-wee is, I believe, Myke, that's a Dead On Dent Tools, isn't it?
Yeah, Tequila.
Is it Tequila now? They bought the company.
Tequila Dead On Dent. Yeah, right. Anson's. Yeah. So what are we doing here, Joe?
Let me see here, man. We right there. I think I was just trying to get that bulk of it to move, to get the general shape back. I think that might have been the toughest part, is just getting all that metal to move cleanly and consistently, without creating bumps within. I think we found that out right away when we did our initial power pulls and tension pulls, but mainly, with that main tab, we were pulling high, but right in the center of this big giant dent, and the dent didn't move anywhere. You know what I mean? So we're pulling these highs, and so we kept very cautious about that. We kept taking the tabs off and changing things out. Obviously you see us throwing everything but the kitchen sink at that thing, but we were getting metal to move. And so the very first phase of the repair, I would say, was trying to get the bulk of it out, getting to move cleanly without causing more harm.
Yeah.
Did you ever hit it with the slide hammer? Or were you with slow pulls the whole way?
That was phase 2. That would be phase 2 with slide hammer. And thank goodness, because, there's a lot to be said about sending vibrations through that entire panel with the slide hammer. After we got some metal to move to the point where I was satisfied with where it was at, knowing that the creases were going to require something else, a little more aggression, if you will. Then we did move into using the slide hammer, and I would say, I kind of, Mike, Keith and Myke, Myke and I got really into the flow state in this thing, and to where it was almost like it almost seems like a dream now, like I almost want to say like 50% of our time was spent trying to move the bulk of that metal
Yeah.
and restoring the
Mhm.
body line, and getting it back to a place where it basically looked like a more shallow damaged area, but it still looked like a really damaged panel,
Did you
with
have to
creases
manage
going.
did you have to manage a panel temperature much, or is the shop
Yeah.
temperature controlled?
Yeah.
We managed the heck out of that temperature.
Yeah.
We
So
had
I
that.
think speak to that a little bit, because I think that trips up a lot of guys on these big loopholes. They just don't get them to hook up right. So there
Okay.
you are measuring
Yep.
temps, right? So what are you looking for?
We were, if you notice, the glue we're using is red, and that's a product called Dent Out Red. Keith,
Yeah.
about it.
I'm not holding that against you.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you know what?
It's a great product, actually. Dent Out Red is good glue.
Listen, I like it because it works. It's about the strongest, in my opinion, at 90 to 100 degrees. It pulls really well at that temperature, and that's basically with the panel pretty warm, considering that I think Mike's shop was probably what, Mike, like 70 degrees. You had it in there.
Yeah,
And
I had the heater on. I wanted to make sure that we had we didn't want to pull any paint. We wanted to make sure that this was gonna come out smooth. When I say 32 hours, Joe's right. We probably spent 20 hours trying to get this part out, like really trying to get that out. Everything else was more the finishing, little by little, slide hammer action at the end. But if you didn't do this right, there was a certain part, Joe and I were kind of debating, like after we got this bulk part out, it was a tight, deep crease still. And I was wondering like how we're going to attack it without wanting to oil can it. I really did not want to oil can it. And Joe was like, okay, well, we're going to go this route. Let's, and so whoever won the reason debate, that's what we went with. Right. Okay.
Myke,
it made no sense.
let me ask you a different question. Because you're shooting video, you've got some big studio lights up, right, for the video. But do you feel like they're helpful for the repair?
Yeah,
I asked that because I've set up this shop. I've made really cool looking lighting. I've got lighting on the walls back behind me. I've got lighting above that looks cool, and there's lights behind those. And there's still parts of my shop that are too dark. And when you're trying to get up inside a wheel well, and you can't see the bolts. Like, I think I need this thing to be like a grow room in here, like lights everywhere. And when I saw that light in the background, I thought, man, I wonder if I should just get that light, not just to shoot video, but just for the working conditions. You can see everything. And when you're on a long repair like that, I think there's a level of fatigue that you don't really notice when you're just having trouble seeing everything. And I think
yes,
100%, it works way
with
better.
that lighting, you're not going to have it.
No, yeah, it really kind of, like you said, it pops up the atmosphere. When it's 9:00 starts hitting around, like, on these repairs,
yeah,
you're gung ho in the morning, you're gung ho till 6:00. You go eat, you start slowing down a bit, you go grab a Red Bull, whatever it is that you're trying to do, because you're trying to get this done.
Espresso.
The main thing is that it's hard to go to sleep knowing that, is it going to be okay? Are we going to, how's tomorrow going to be? And we wanted to kind of leave every day knowing that we're going in the right direction in a positive way. You can see that this was scary right here. You see how deep that is? It's deep, right? And it was stretched, super stretched. And so we were holding tension. Joe was holding tension there. I was like, okay, we'll tap a little bit here, tap a little bit there. Let's see how this metal is reacting. And that's what we had to do. We had to just really listen to that metal, see what it was doing based on experience, based on past oil can effects. Joe and I have done marathons live on video before on the Porsche, man, where we got our asses handed to us, dude. And that loss, with some other losses recently that we did, well, I wouldn't call that a loss. That was more of a win, but we didn't post it yet, Joe. We're going to talk about it. But he kicked the shit out of this fender, whatever, quarter panel for my students over at his shop. And we got our asses handed to us, dude. And he was able to save it. But all those losses, those butt kickings, this is what matters. This is what ends up. And there's Matt.
I mean, how do you know where the edge is unless you go over it a couple times?
That's right. That's right.
That's it. And that's what this is about. We're on multiple levels. We're pushing boundaries because it's fun for us. It really is.
And the prize is you get a really cool repair and you get paid right for it.
That's right. And this is the best part, Keith, is that this is a repeatable process. We really went into this. We meditated through this whole thing, you know, like, and we were talking about, okay, how much of this is a science and how much of it is an art, you know, if you will. And we, you know, we very often crossed that line, you know, between the two. But I would say that the majority of it was science, man. Like we got a cause and effect, and we got it to move the way we needed it to, and we had to try a few things, and then you know, the results are there. So it is repeatable. It can be done, and the profit margin on these, because of the invasiveness of the conventional repair, it just it's there.
Clint does Clint Kidler says, does it have any tooling access? Not on this one. Not on the. It looks like it when you pop the plug. If you saw the earlier video I posted, I showed that underneath. It looks like there's access, but there's none. Not compared to the Rivian T. I know what you're doing. You're calculating, aren't you?
Yeah, that's per hour, but there was 2 of you.
Yeah.
So does that seem crazy? Not really.
No, right? It really doesn't.
You'd be kind of upset about it, honestly, if you on a 2 hour.
Yeah, why'd you have to show me that, Keith?
Well, because it puts it in. I'm showing you for a reason, because when you're thinking like, oh man, I've really overpriced this thing, like you really haven't. I agree. It's just a ton of work. And like when the customers say you're overcharging, you know, respectfully, like you caused a lot of damage on your car. I'm like, that you brought me the damage. I didn't make the damage. That's something I remind my guys of all the time when they're giving estimates, because we all like feel bad when we're giving these big numbers. But I'm like, you didn't make the damage, dude. You just made the solution. It's not your fault that it's a ton of work. It's not your fault that it's a 32-hour repair for 2 of the best guys in the country. It's a ton of work. As much as I love these, you'll make more money doing $500 3-inch dents all day.
I agree.
And be happier. But the thing is, you won't get the skills that this translates over to those cars, right?
The split 70-30. Alan, you're such a wise ass, dude.
What do you say?
So how would you work the split 70-30, dude?
That's old PDR college reference.
Look, you can see that it's true form. It's still not even close to out of the woods, dude. You guys, look how long this is. So many footage. And
listen, again, let me ask you another technical question. You're using 91% alcohol.
99.
Yeah. What should we use?
We're using 99.
99.
Yeah.
You're dousing it with a ton of alcohol. Sometimes that leaves the ring. When you're putting it all over the tab like that, leaves the impression around the
Is
glue.
that what does that?
Yeah, you didn't get any of that on this car.
No,
none at all. And I
never heat it up though.
99.
It goes away if that's the case. Though.
So you're suggesting using 91?
No, not necessarily. I want to know what you're using, because maybe that paint is more durable than others.
Well, I will say the paint is very durable. Yeah, we didn't have any rings.
Yeah, that's great.
I love this.
Yeah,
look at this. Glue repair is nuts. Do I dare ask if there's a drill spot that would work?
Let's talk about that, actually, Myke, because Clint, we were fully prepared to drill if we had to. In fact, Myke had stated earlier that in his disclosure to the client that he told the client we may have to drill for access. We don't want to. It's a last resort, but we were prepared to, and the client was cool with it. And I was ready to take everything apart on the inside of the quarter panel. And 2 reasons why I didn't initially, because number one, you know, if we break something, it's going to be really hard to get that part replaced, from what I understand, you know. So number 2 was honestly, I couldn't really see any way to fix it from inside the quarter panel, the dent being that low. It'd be really tough fix that way. So we decided we're going to go ahead and try and glue pull this whole thing. My experience with a couple other Rivians is that the metal is much like Subaru metal to me. And with Subaru metal, I can move that stuff around.
That used to
quite
be
a
an
bit.
insult, Joe.
It
Subaru
was
metal.
there. Well, yeah, and well, when we couldn't figure out how to fix oil cans and stuff on them,
Yeah.
and then the paint
Hudson,
too. Back in the day when the paint would just lift right off with glue, but they've come a long way, and that's what this reminds me of.
yeah,
The
Hudson.
Subaru.
Hudson says it's no wonder it's good. I thought it was great paint.
Wow,
Now we know why. It's probably the top of the line paint.
Wow, okay.
reviews. So yeah, it's really
Okay.
good. Joe, do you think that, I keep asking, like, do you think that was going to oil can at any point, dude? If we didn't do it the way we did it?
I wasn't too worried about that because I did bring my arc machine, my whatever you want to call it, the
Yeah.
car body heater. Actually, I
So
bought it from Keith.
you were a little worried about it.
Oh, I was. You know what? I like using that thing. It's fun.
It is
actually.
cool.
I put a piece of copper wire in there and got rid of the whatever, the electrode or whatever.
Carbon rod. Yeah. Clint is a wizard with that thing. He'll put that thing up and around a corner in a car next door.
I've seen his videos. Yeah, Clint is not playing around, man. So
No.
yeah, no, I think, and I don't know if that's who I got that from. I saw somebody using a copper wire. Is that who did it? It was Clint?
I don't know if he's the first guy, but he's very good at it.
Yeah. Well, I have found great use in it, and I was fully prepared to do it if we needed to. Honestly, you had mentioned earlier, Keith, about like, getting fatigued and, on these marathon repairs, and it really, Myke and I discussed that from the get-go. We were very strategic about this. We talked about, okay, how do we not fall into the quicksand on this? Because we've all been there, especially trying on these, and how do we avoid falling in the quicksand, and how do we keep momentum, when we start to feel a little demoralized in there, and, it was like a meditation to some degree, but we had to, keep it going, keep moving, and strategize how we were going to do this. And the other side of this is that we reminded ourselves, this is a service to another human being. This is a guy's car. He has a problem. We are trying to solve a problem for him. We have the solution for him. And we believe in our hearts that this is the best solution, the best possible option. And so we weren't about to, we were ready to extend all efforts, including power PDR box or whatever you want to call it.
Have you thought about pulling with an electric winch instead of the ratchet straps?
Absolutely. I have one in my garage, actually.
Dude, someone's going to send me one. They have to send me one, dude.
I'll send you mine, dude.
Get me
Here's my issue.
Link, dude. Please, I'll get one, dude.
We had a gentleman named Tony Rios, actually, from Texas. And he, about like a year ago, he showed us a winch, electric winch, Harbor Freight. He mounted it up to the back of his truck on a post on his trailer hitch, and he's power pulling the heck out of these things, and it works. And I got one, and the only reason why I haven't used it yet is because, like I told you earlier, Keith, I am not doing a lot of power pulls, man. I'm doing mostly what I call I do tension pulls, and the power pulls, when I need it so far, the winch puller seems to do the trick. It's kind of a pain in the ass to use, to be honest. But
it's so digital, right? It's like it's pull and then loose. And then, so you don't get that finite. Imagine if you could could push tools like that, where you had to go crack, crack, crack. You would never get the dent clean. You know what I mean? So what we're doing is much more, much smoother in and out. And I think that electric motor, so Shane's been experimenting with one in his shop, and he said this is like 1,000 times better to have that smooth pull. So we're actually rigging up a complete system in the floors here at my shop. We're going to be able to put electric power, with my camera, laterally and directly at the same time. So 3 different winches pulling. So I'm excited about that. I'll do some videos and stuff when we get it all installed. But
you see Joe's?
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
You see?
I saw Joe's. I talked to him offline about it. It was an inspiration for me. My shop doesn't lend itself to that particular setup. It's a smaller shop. So I was going to do that. I had planned on it, and even Joe's got the plans, but I think I need to do a more modular system here in the floors.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's beautiful about this is the possibilities are endless, really. I mean, this is new territory. And so you're going to see all kinds of stuff. And Myke and I talked about this years ago, like this is the result. All this innovation is the result of guys getting paid better,
Right.
of having the guts to ask for more. And that's what really is at the heart of this whole Rivian repair, is the innovation and pushing the boundaries, and what can we do? What can we, how far can we progress with this? So I'm proud of that. I'm proud to be a part of that. It's less to do with the ego about
No.
we fix this awesome dent or whatever.
No, it's just the growth, where we learning something on the administrative side, learning something on the customer side, learning something on the technique side, and then at the end, everybody's happy. So it's a total win, and
it really is.
It's really cool that you guys put all the extra time to share it with everybody else, because it doubled the workload for this thing to make it into a movie.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it was just for bragging, though.
I know there's a selfish element. You guys will make a lot of money from these marketing pieces in the future. They're going to guarantee that more of these things come to you.
Yeah,
and you're setting a precedent for the future charges, right? Like when another one comes in, like, hey, here's the sheet. Paid.
Well, let's get into the black. Look at we got some of these. This is what helped pull that body line out, dude.
So this was phase 2. Yeah, this was phase 2, where we started using the slide hammer. And I'll tell you, because of the slide hammer and the green tabs, the gangrene tabs, those were that was the muscle that really brought that body line out.
Started shaping it.
Yeah.
That one pit, that one deepness, that deep spot right there that you're working on, that was the one that I was like, ooh, that one, you got to get it right or you're going to get it wrong.
Yeah. Andrew says, Chris says, how much work was from behind and why not? Because there was no access point. Joe wanted to keep this as basically drill hole free to prove a big point, which he did. And he didn't want to give anyone excuses why this wasn't a better repair. So that awesome. Basically is, you can't argue with that, right?
No.
Nobody in the world can argue with that. So
I love that, Joe.
Yep.
Taking one on the chin for the rest of the industry. Like it could have been done in half the time if you just buzz a hole in it, but stuck it out. And now you can look anybody in the eye and say, tell me that's not a better repair. It's better.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, Keith, I maybe it's just me, but I feel like I can do much cleaner work with glue, and getting a tool in there and start pushing around, what you're getting is you're getting push marks. Okay. So you can soften the tip. That makes sense. But you're also not getting that vibration in the panel that the slide hammer puts through, especially with a dent like this. You're pulling on that crease and you're bringing that crease out, aggressively. But what it's also doing is jolting the entire panel. And so in the old days before glue, I would get tunnel vision working on dent, similar to that, where I'd be concentrating on that real deep part of the center, and then I'd have the center all perfect, where the deep crease was or whatever, and then I'd stand back and you see this big wave that was still left over, right? And those things are becoming a thing of the past now because of what we can do with glue, both with the tension, applying introducing tension into the panel, and then of course the jolt of the slide hammer just sending those vibrations through the whole panel, and it shapes that panel. I think it's similar in the way to like Shane with his blending hammer, telling us, trying to educate us all years ago about on the roof rails, and it just sends like this vibration through it, and the metal, the steel. In this case, this was a steel panel. The steel wants to come back.
Yeah. And we have a lot better understanding of like the dynamics of a complex repair, which parts are important, which parts aren't, which parts you're worried about, which parts you're not, like that. you had that blue tab up top. Somebody might have got a hold of that and really pulled it, and it wouldn't have been the way to go. Even though like your tendency might have been to put that big round tab like about 8 inches lower than that and just rip the bottom of that thing out, and then you're going to lock the bottom up. It's just stuff you learn after, failing a bunch of times.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you see that. Okay, Keith, I know you don't know how to read reflections. This one, barely your own, but let me see. But you see the tight lines in the middle?
Yes.
Right in the middle of the screen
Yep.
Right. And then below you see a wider lines, right? Going towards the body line, right? There was that's locked pressure right there. Scared. I thought this thing was going to oil can at this point, dude. So I was concerned, not scared, but concerned, like big time.
Sure.
So anyways, there's a lot more to this, right? And so, I mean, we had to go back to size like Joe. Let me do some pressure releasing over here just to help metal flow there. Joe went to the bathroom, so I snuck and grabbed this thing real quick, dude. But no, he's filming. But honestly, we were concerned about this whole thing. Joe was concerned, but he was fearless and going into this, a different direction. You have your tabs there, literally.
We used the heck out of your tabs, Keith.
Awesome.
In fact, there's that tab right there, that little guy who I've had a lot of good luck with.
CT26.
All right, CT26.
The GCT, actually, the green crease tab 26 millimeter. That one's the real hero of a lot of repairs.
Okay, so that little guy was a hero because we actually heated it up, and because we couldn't get a foothold into the deep part of that dent on that body line, so we heated it up and bent it to the contour of the little dent there, the deep dent, and then let it sit. And one thing that I have to mention, what we were doing, you mentioned heat earlier, Keith, is we were getting it up to like 130, 140 degrees, both with a heat gun, and then Myke has a really cool infrared light that we were warming up the whole panel and keeping the whole panel nice and warm. But we were heating the area that we were going to glue to about 140 degrees, and along with heating the tab. Yeah, so that's pretty hot.
We got an idea for you. You see that tab? So we heated it up and bent it, and so we need curved tabs now. We need curved crease tabs that go
it's coming full circle back to curved tabs.
Yeah, we need curved tabs, dude.
You know what though? I will say that I think a lot of people sleep on modifying their tabs for the specific dent. Like bend them, cut them. They're disposable little units. Like you could bend a crease tab like crazy, either in any dimension. Like you can bend them, like the Kiko body line tabs. You can bend the straight ones like that.
That's what we did. That's what we did. That's what I did.
Cut them short. Or bend them like this to go into the contour of the damage. Totally.
Absolutely.
Well, hello there, Minnesota. Gray duck there. I almost called him a green duck.
What's up, John?
Hey,
John Kavanaugh's in here.
We used a lot of these. We used gangrene a lot. We used some reapers, obviously. I think and then we used the Kiko tabs. We used we did. Who's the Kamado?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
mainly the tabs we used.
Yeah, we used the Kiko crease tabs and the Kamado crease tabs in the beginning, pulling the bulk of the damage out. And once we got it to just a bunch of creases, then we moved on to using the gangrene tabs. And right there, you can see me using what model is that, Keith? Can you see? It's the one with the little bridge on the neck. It's like a 3/8, I think 38.
Yeah, probably GCT.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
That one's not it. Yeah,
that's
the 26.
The different one.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say earlier though is that through this point where we were using the green tabs, I was heating it up to around 140, 150 degrees, and the area that I was going to pull on, as well as the tab, I was heating those up, and what I would do is just let it cool to about 95. So my theory, and it seemed to work, is that we get the panel, the paint, the tab, the glue, all one temperature, and almost like it's all one piece, kind of like a not quite welded, but it all seemed to pull really well that way, especially when we're using that slide hammer and really trying to jolt that body line back into place.
Man, what an amazing repair. I'm glad I could be a part of it, guys. Glad we could share it here with everybody.
Well, I'm not gonna we'll just skip to the just kind of towards the end, you guys. We'll have this whole, believe it or not, I'll have this whole thing on what do you call it, Dent Trainer. And so you guys
drop a
watch.
7th inning stretch on that one, dude.
I know people are gonna want to watch. There's people out there who would watch. Am I going backwards or forward? I got so many freaking video. So this is where we're still day 2 or something like that.
Alex asks Myke, if that dent was on a 2024 Escalade, would the estimate be the same or a little less? I think if it's a unit panel, it's going to be somewhere in there or maybe more. But I don't know that those are unit panel. I think it just all depends on what we're dealing with.
I do too. Well, it's aluminum too. Those new ones.
Is it?
Yeah, those new ones. So I that's a good question. I don't know, honestly, guys. I would have to write it up, and then I don't know. I'm getting to this point where look, I'm not dictating people's pricing or anything, but I look at I'm the one that's suffering. You guys are the ones suffering. At the end of the day, man, is it gonna be worth it for you if you don't halfway through it, you're gonna quit? Are you gonna say it can't be done? Because it's real easy to give up, right? When you don't price it right. So those are, I don't know until I look. It depends on the damage. But if it was something similar to this in a quarter panel on aluminum, I don't know. I'd hit it at 10, 15, probably still.
$500 an hour. I mean, that's not crazy.
No,
right? So if you think you're going to be in this thing 30 hours, just price it the way it needs to be. And if it goes away, it goes away. You won't be sad that you didn't do it. You'll be sad if you take it for half of that, though.
Yeah, true.
How do you get the glue to pull off if you got the panel temperature so warm? Joe, you can answer that.
I'm pulling Casper at around 95 degrees, and that red glue that you see me using, it's called Dent Out Red, and it was they market it towards high temperature pulling. It pulls really strong at that temperature, so yeah, that's how I keep it. Strong, but when I said that I heat it up to 140 degrees or whatever, that's just to keep things hot while I get the glue on the tab, because it's cooling down rapidly at that point while you're putting the glue on the tab, and then I place it. And then my theory, like I said, is I want to keep it. I want it all to cool down to 95 all at the same rate, and I feel like I can get stronger pulls that way.
Yeah. Clint says, do you think a panel that has been glue pulled to death versus a whole and efficient tooling is as strong afterwards? Boy, Clint, you got your glue, your drill ready, huh?
Yeah. Bite your tongue, Clint. Glue pulling's the future.
I can answer that question.
Yeah.
That panel was just as strong as it was before. There was no fatigue at all. That's what's beautiful about it. I mean, I feel if anything, it's less fatigue than pushing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Mark Circus?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He's old school Hale guy. Back at one of the original MTEs, he used to compete still and do the dents. He's a really great technician. He's not just a broker. But he taught me something once that I was talking about it. Like, how do you know it's not going to oil can when it's done? Because those dental-lipic dents are super deep. And he goes, you got to stress test them. And he reaches out and just smacks the panel 4 or 5 times super hard with his hand. Boom, 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 boom. And I was like, oh, okay. So I actually adapted that to when customers are like, is it as strong as it was before? And I'll just whack the hell out of it with my hand. Bam, bam, bam. It's strong as it was before. And it's very loud and it's impactful. And they're like, oh, shoot. Okay,
it makes an impression, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah. And it's how confident am I in this work? Look, I'm going to smack the heck out of it. And it's not going to fall back because your dent's not coming back. It's fixed. So it's it's a kind of a cool theatrical way to put that concern at ease, even for Clint. So next time I do one for Clint, I'm going to smack it.
Well, listen, what Clint's doing is playing devil's advocate, and that we need to be able to answer every 100%. Question that's asked, because we have our detractors, right? Our industry.
I can't say the same for the shoulders, Clint. These guys' shoulders lost a couple years on this one.
I don't
The
think so,
shoulders are
man.
worn out.
No, we are not worn out from it, man. Seriously though,
wasn't
like
too
in all,
bad,
in
yeah.
all seriousness,
Yeah.
we broke it down to a science. I feel like, it's repeatable. This is something that, because we talked about this, like I told him, I told Myke, I said, Myke, before the end of the year, Big John's going to be doing this. Your employees are going to be doing this, and you're going to be able to have a system, an assembly line of this. I won't say it's complete, that there's no art left in it by any means. There certainly is, but I feel like we're down to a science now, and I love it.
Show me the after. Let me see this thing glassed
Okay.
out.
Oh, Joe's got to do like 57
man.
more pulls, dude. So yeah, he's still glue pulling. He wasn't even close to that done.
This is
dude.
like the advanced skills seminar. Everybody says they want to see the whole repair, and halfway through, they're all on their phones. Joe, you've seen it in person.
I have.
I'm like, you guys don't want to see the whole repair. I promise. You want to see it done. You want to see it started, but you don't want to see the middle. It's boring as hell. It's the same thing over and over again for 15 hours.
Watching the grass grow, right?
Yeah, it really is. But like the technical parts, you want to see like, ooh, how do you tackle it? How do you start it? But then once it's really close and it's wavy, there's no secret. It's just don't stop until it's flat.
The secret is you have to be damn patient, and you have to get paid for your patience. You're going to run out of patience before you can, because the money's going to run out basically. You're going to go, all right, what's going to last longer, my patience or the money that I'm getting paid for? And generally, you undercutted yourself. Your patience is going to run out. You're going to speed up. You're going to try to catch up to the time you think you should have been at doing the repair. And all of a sudden you rush in everything, and it never comes out the best way you could do it.
Right. How many times have you heard, for what he's paying, should be super happy about this. It's just a way of saying I'm justifying being done with it right now.
Excuses. Yeah.
I'm still going to go for the Joe was picking at this.
We were not done. We weren't even done there. We weren't even talking about
it. So let me go to the final one. Okay?
I was going to say the real secret is to repair it with lines and then show the after in a fog reflection. Because the fog doesn't show as much.
No, the fog guys realize, they can't read.
You know what? I used to say the lines don't lie, but if you put them like in the wrong places or in the wrong orientation, they will tell you a story. They'll lie to your face, dude.
Oh yeah, any reflection will, dude.
No, not fog.
Yeah. Hey, fog.
Yeah, we got the fog on there. See,
I'm trying to.
For you fog guys who want to.
I'm trying to get the fog video. There you go.
Rattle the cage here.
There you go.
There's the true light.
It's pretty.
There you go, Keith. It's still lines though, dude.
Yeah, they're just fatter.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, it's pretty amazing that you can get that much damage out with glue today.
Yeah, it's beautiful, you guys.
So there you guys go, gentlemen. Let me get myself off the friggin' thing here. I thought you guys would thought that was interesting. I hope this is a really interesting podcast. And Keith, thank you again. I can't say enough. That's cool that you did that. One thing I do like about your system that you have that I can say publicly is that, Tammy, she takes it for you, man. She's there to bat for you. She's a pit bull.
Yeah.
I liked that. She keeps you in the loop. And that was super helpful, and it just made everything else all that smoother. So that was awesome. I highly recommend if you guys want to check that out. What's the website, Keith?
It's claimconnection.io.
Okay.
I can attest to that. Tammy is very, very wise, and she has a lot of information, and I got a full education just from 2 conversations with her. So.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn, and it's nice to have somebody handle all of it for you. I'm tapped out. I don't want to learn CCC. I don't even want to be in it. I just want the results from it. I want to get paid what I want for my jobs.
Yeah,
it's like there's only so many things you can do as a small business guy, and you guys do a lot. You do all your own marketing, all the repairs, all the branding. Like at some point, you can't do everything, or you're not going to do anything.
That's true. That is very true.
Barry has a question for you. Joe, would you have considered using lateral compression at this end stage to steady the panel for the last section of the repair?
let me tell you guys, and let me tell you, Barry, to answer your question, I learned a lot on this, and I'm not done learning. That's what's freaking awesome about this. Myke and I talked about that, and I know Barry is probably referring to, there was a little bit of a wave where we were showing, and we weren't through yet. And, Myke, that's a great point that he brings, because we could have considered at this point, now that the panel was flatter, to use lateral tension, just as simple as one of those Kiko all thread bars, and just, because now we have a place to put down our tabs. So to answer your question, Barry, no, I didn't even consider doing that. And I definitely will next time. We were able to jolt that out, though, with the slide hammer, though. Because as I mentioned earlier, the panel did have some stability in it because it's a little bit round, and I felt like I was having really good luck with the slide hammer and just kind of jolting it. But that's something to consider for the next time for sure, is use the lateral tension bar on there.
I'm not sure. Phil, did Phil sign up for your program? Do you have a sign up?
He did. Yeah. Thanks, Phil. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to helping you guys out.
Cool. So, you want to say something? We want to clear something up about before. I mean, hopefully people are still checking it out, but I don't want to. I'm not saying that Dent Ops hasn't worked for me, ladies and gentlemen. It just didn't work for me in this situation. So I don't want anybody getting the wrong impressions that it's not.
No, and they'll write it any way you want. If you email Noah back and say, hey, I didn't want you to write it this way, he'll write it for you. He'll change it.
Yeah.
They do a killer job. I just needed somebody to handle it for me after that, and they didn't have that service. I think they're expanding. They probably will do something similar in the future, but I needed to build what I needed, and then I overbuilt it so I could help other guys. That's how Claim Connection came to be. But it's no knock to Dent Ops. I think it's an awesome company. Noah's a super good guy, runs a great business, and he's helping a ton of PDR guys. So no hate. It's kind of like just the same. It's the same as the relationship I have with Corey Kleinfeld here in my home market. We're competitors, but both have, I consider him a friend. We're both, trying to elevate each other, and in the end, it helps everybody.
Yeah,
there's a lot of cars on that freeway, Joe.
Yeah, there really are. There really are. And what I love is that you and Corey are competitors in the same market.
Yeah.
You guys are both so how do I say it? Progressive for our industry, and both of you are helping our industry. I love listening to both of your guys' podcasts.
Yeah,
Corey has been tackling the collision industry, having these big voices of the collision industry in his podcast. So I recommend everybody to listen. I learn a lot when I listen.
Wow, we're stuck. We look. I gotta get back to my life, man. I gotta get.
Yeah, it's a long show. Let me drop one more teaser for the California West Coast boys.
Yes.
I think we're going to be doing an advanced skills seminar this summer here up in Sacramento at my shop. So
all right,
more details will come as they emerge, but hope to see all the West Coast guys who couldn't make it all the way out there to the south every time we hold one. Out here, we don't have hail to worry about running away from.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's right. Sounds good.
Hey, thank you for having me on your show, fellas. I appreciate it. It's been a blast. And that hats off on that repair, and from start to finish, everything went awesome.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you guys, everybody, for watching, listening. Let us know what you guys think after the comments too, as well, if you haven't seen it. But other than that, thanks you guys again. We'll guys see you guys in a couple weeks, man. So we'll get back on it. So take care, Keith. Thanks again.
My pleasure, boys. See ya.
You guys.